some of you, you are actually, and we're talking about people who have already been through this, who are holding space for the people we have been reading on. This has been a story of your past. This is something that you have gone through. These are cycles you have closed out. You're observing. You're guiding others. You are this King of Wands, this Curandera of fire. You are also the Hierophant. And the Hanged One can also, the High Priestess is the accompanying card to the Hanged One. They're both Pisces cards, right? Psychic, intuitive, empathic, deeply spiritual, can hold multiple points of view at once, can rise above and look at things from a different perspective, right? Zoom out to zoom in. The Hierophant, speaking of grounding, that is a card of Taurus, right? It is also the card of a spiritual leader. It's another aspect of a spiritual leader, just like the Curandera of fire. The Curandera of fire is more passion-based leadership, like a people for the freaking people, whereas the Hierophant is more like the higher spiritual authority. Traditionally, it's known like the Pope or a man of God, and in more alternative cultures, it's not the high priestess or the high priest, but it is somebody who holds a higher authority in a spiritual group. It's also somebody who's more traditional, grounded, stable, who likes to do things in an old-fashioned way. So for some of you, I'm picking up that maybe you are in your elder years, right? And you have led other people on this journey. You have gained many other perspectives. For some of you, you are mentoring others. And that's a beautiful thing. You know very much about a lot of the lessons that I speak of here. For some of you, this Four of Cups doesn't represent being bored and complacent, but being content with your emotional foundation and seeing how you can bring that to other people's lives. Perhaps you're also a healer. A lot of spiritual leaders are. The ones that are doing it for the right reasons, right? Not for glory, not for fame, not for the title, not for the ego. And for some, the money. Yes, there are spiritual leaders that do it for money, unfortunately. And there's nothing wrong with money if you have a healthy balance. The Hierophant is a representation of also spiritual wealth, okay? So it's a wealth of knowledge. It's access to traditional ways of expressing God for those of you that are followers of God. I am a non-denominational channel, so I'll talk about pagan concepts and I'll talk about God. This is a channel for open-minded people. I'm hearing for some of you, I also have clairaudience. For some of you, you travel and speak the word. For some of you, it is your mission, so to speak. And I don't typically use that phrasing, so that's specific to somebody. I prefer to say path over mission. But for some of you, consider you could actually be a missionary. Or some of you see it as your life mission to travel, to spread the word, to work with groups, to help. Some of you, I'm getting a side message, you help other groups organize and collaborate. For some of you, I'm hearing you are fixers. You help people overcome. I'm not talking emotionally. I feel like this is a construct. This is a social construct for some of you, what I'm picking up on in this channel. We've kind of gone from the base to the middle to the top of the expression of this energy here. So for those of you that are more in a sense of leadership, you're helping people collaborate. You're helping people take action. Some of you are influencers. Some of you are inspired. Some of you might have your own channels and platforms where you speak about spiritual concepts as well. If so, welcome. I'd love to talk to you and collaborate. I got my email and the details as well. Safe, true communications, please. I will ignore any spam. I will also ignore any hate mail. So, you know, I'm here to be an ally to the spiritual community, right? Cool. Some of you are also sharing your testimony, I'm hearing, and helping other people learn how to find their own power, find their own voice. That's beautiful. It's kind of similar to what I'm doing here, right? It's a service that often gets overlooked. And for some of you, I'm picking up, you could have been condemned or looked at like you were not who you said you were. Again, you had to overcome your wounds and your cycles. And also, when you are a leader, you're typically not somebody who has, I mean, if you're fortunate, you're in some kind of construct, like the Hierophant very much can represent some hierarchy, right? Some of you, you only have God to consult with, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't mean that as a derogatory, but you don't talk to people about your guidance. You talk to God, or your gods or goddesses, or your ancestors, right? Because this is not, I was just going off of the hierarchy of the Hierophant traditionally. But you could also speak to nature spirits. Again, this is, the potential is limitless, whoever your spiritual authority is. For some of you, you don't realize that you're spiritual leaders. You don't realize that you have this higher calling. You may be at the beginning of your spiritual awakening or in the middle of it, and this could be a part of your future. I'm not saying that's true for everybody, but if that just resonated in your gut or your heart space, look into that and think about it. I didn't know I would be here where I'm at when I went through my third spiritual awakening. All right? I didn't know. I'd go through massive ascension journeys. I didn't know. And you don't know what you don't know. All I know is that I followed my guidance in my spiritual path, and I built a community for myself when I didn't have a community. And that was part of my path. That was part of my purpose, right? I talk about my personal astrology to help other people understand the validity of astrology and also gain interest in, yes, I do birth chart readings as well, and I do astrology readings. I also do evolutionary astrology. It's not something I'd consider myself an expert on, but as far as looking into your soul and your path, that I can do for you. Description box for more, or channel main page links, however you'd like to find it. I have my North Node in Taurus. So when we started off this reading talking about lack, how you know you've come out of lack is by pretty much knowing that you have everything within you, that you are the abundance. Another one of my channeled messages before the last one was called The Prize Is You. That's another beautiful, deeply channeled message that you may resonate with. It's about finding the worth within yourself and then seeing it represented outside of yourself. And when you know your worth inside and you see it blossom around you as a reflection of you, you can manifest, you can create, you can have a higher spiritual authority if you're doing it with integrity and you are continuing to nurture and grow and build off of what you have created. So the North Node, the North Node, I'm starting to lose my voice, excuse me. The North Node in Taurus is about coming out of lack mindset and realizing your potential, your wealth within inside, so your spiritual wealth. It's coming away from fear of losing material and knowing that your spiritual beliefs will actually give you everything that you need to be provided for. It's essentially establishing faith. It's that bridge. The Five of Pentacles is that bridge between lack and abundance. You can look at it as you're out in the cold, you're a victim, you don't have anything. Or you can look at it as, oh wow, I have an opportunity to walk into this building and find a community, possibly through spirituality, and expand. Because it's usually a church that is depicted in two cold, vagrant people outside. Excuse that term, vagrant. I'm not sure if that's appropriate. I apologize. I myself have been transient at one point in my life, so I apologize. I don't mean to offend anybody. It's the traditional depiction of the cards, right? It is the bridge between the ultimate wealth, and that's with spirit and through your material. Co-creation is the act of working with spirit in the material. You are material. We are flesh. We are earth. We are also water. We are air. We are fire. When you're in balance with all your elements, you become the magician. The magician card is represented by having everything at your disposal, right? And it's also the sign of Gemini, which speaks, which communicates. Then you can speak into the world, your creations. But you go within, as the hangman here. You go within, you talk to God, so to speak. You talk to your guides. You discover your beliefs. You contemplate. You get new perspectives. You are this wounded warrior at times. You are this Nine of Wands, who becomes the Knight of Wands, who is becoming victorious, who becomes essentially the spiritual warrior, who becomes the leader, the King of Wands. And guess what happens after the King of Wands when you have established all other kings? And it doesn't matter your gender, by the way. You become the Emperor. You become in control of your whole domain. But it's not about power and control. If you're coming at it from that because you feel like you have no control, then you're going to stay in this Nine of Wands. You have to decide that you are willing to be brave and make good choices for yourself first. Lead your own life first, and then you can lead others. And when you have overcome these cycles, when you overcome these torments, when you become wiser, and you don't have to go through this process for years. It just depends on how long your process is going to take, right? It depends on your own personal journey, your karma, your dharma, who you have in your life, who you don't, what resources you have, what you don't. The whole point is that you can start over from scratch if you have to. I did it. But it takes courage, it takes discipline, it takes continuous effort on the things you have invested in. One thing I had to learn, and it's part of this whole Pentacles, Hierophant, Five of Pentacles, I also have a Moon in Taurus, conjunct my North Node, okay? Moon in Taurus is represented by the Five of Pentacles. I myself literally had to overcome this, right? And I have a Scorpio South Node, so that's where I'm coming from, which is appropriate because we are in a Scorpio Moon at the time of recording this. I had to overcome feelings of abandonment and being left out in the cold because of trauma I went through. And as soon as I stopped abandoning myself and learned how to nurture myself and work with the divine and co-create, I started to master the principles of the spiritual laws. I started to learn how to manifest. I started to feel more confident when I started to see that stuff actually materialize in my 3D realm. I was able to detoxify lack and being stuck and repeating cycles, but I had to rely on myself. I didn't have a community. All I had was spirit. And not everybody has to go through that hard of a journey. That is known also as the hermit's journey, right? I went through that. My cat agrees. I don't know if you can hear him meowing in the background. Anyways, I feel like this message might be coming to a close. That was a beautiful message. Thank you for being here. I feel like I could pull one oracle card. Let's see what's calling to me. Of course, if you have any questions, leave them in the description box. If you have any other thoughts on how you can accomplish this, if you want to share your own journey, I would love to hear it. I really would. But I feel like we're coming to a close here. Thank you for your patience, waiting for this message to come out. I've mentioned this before, that oftentimes spirit tests the collective through me, through my experience, right? So I've had to learn how to embrace patience, how to embrace temperance and balance, and embody these things before I teach other people. Oftentimes spirit has tested me before they have me test my community. And I'm not intentionally testing anyone. If that triggered you, that's a wound to look at, okay? I don't intentionally do anything to anyone specific. I simply follow the guidance that is given to me, and we co-create an experience for the community through that, okay? It takes a lot of faith to be able to do that, and I had to go through a lot in order to earn that faith. But I had to find it within myself before I could find it outside of myself. That is the whole as within, so without, which I talk about a lot here. If you'd like to explore, I have 2 particular playlists I recommend. All my messages are timeless. I have short form and long form in both playlists. It's the Divine With Me playlist, which has all tarot quests, all readings, and then I have my channeled messages playlist, which I sometimes call source downloads in the description box, okay? That has specifically my spiritual wisdom that I channel. All right. So let's see. I have either Kuan Yin's Oracle deck or the Medicine Heart. I'm actually feeling called to pull from both. So one of these messages might apply to you and one of the others might apply more. Again, check out the blog when I end up pinning it down in the description box. And you'll be able to check out the pictures in that post. Again, please subscribe. I would love to have you here, especially if you're on the path, if you're on the journey. And again, if you have your own platform, I'm all about community support. I have another public playlist I call Community Spotlight. So if I watch one of your readings and it really resonates, I feel like I want the message to expand, I will highlight you in that playlist. I have multiple different readers, astrologers, spiritual people. Something that I find of value for the collective. Sometimes it's a message that resonated highly with me of my own experience, and I'm like, oh, I got to share this because it's going to help other people. So like sometimes it's coming from personal experience, things that have happened to me, things that I've been through, things that I've learned. And sometimes it is just, I feel driven that I want to support other people in the spiritual community that have something really great to offer. Because I'm not here to compete with people. There are people who are still trying to compete with me and knock me down. But you know what? I freaking ascended because I kept going. I focused on my own lane. And now here I am with something of substance and value. And you know what? You can do it too. You just got to have courage and bravery as well. Cool? Cool. So the Kuan Yin card that came out, which I believe this has come up in another reading, to the Celestial Mountain. You have the ability to invoke divine power, to call to the Celestial Mountain, so that you might be gifted with the spiritual energy you need to attain your goals. Are you kidding me? How appropriate. I'm getting chills. Permitting beings that love you unconditionally to help you in an expression of spiritual empowerment. You empower the divine forces that can assist you to come to your aid and help you manifest your visions. I mean, wow. Did you all get chills? Because I just did. As within, so without. You embody the divine. That's not saying that you think you are God or whatever. Some of you might, and that's cool. You do you. I'm talking about as within, so without. When you find that spiritual essence within yourself because of your evolvement, because of your growth, the divine co-create with you. Call upon the divine. Figure out who your folks are. Sometimes it's working with your ancestors as a good start. Always set your protections and make sure you're clear on that you're working with benevolent energies. However, there are some people who work in the dark. I am not personally somebody who works in the dark. That's my choice. But I am in balance with my shadow and my light. It took a long time to become integrated, but I am. So what does that mean? I work with dark goddesses as well. I work with Lilith. I work with Hecate. I work with Persephone. I work with Kali. I work with Baba Yaga. And you want to know why? Because those ladies were there for me when no one else was. And they didn't require sacrifice. I didn't even know they were there for me until I knew they were there for me. And now I work with them. I co-create. I create beautiful, beautiful things from the truth of my past that hurt me. And that is how they have shown up for me to work with me and co-create. But I also work with archangels, with the utmost highest celestial beings, right? So when you're in balance with your light and your shadow, you can find your center. You can find your temperance. And you can open your whole world up and create from a way that you have never created in your entire life. All right? So, Medicine Heart Oracle, what do you have for us? Whoop. Hello. Oh, we got this card before as well. So it seems like I feel like there's some energy of some folks that have been here on previous readings that may have been a part of this. And it's interesting. I was picking up on this card. I was seeing it in my mind's eye within the last week. And it's these three feminine looking figures. I'm going to use feminine pronouns because they look feminine. Again, apply it how it fits. And it looks like there's almost hamster wheels above their heads. And it also, in the past reading that I picked up on this card a few months ago, I said it was kind of like the hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. That might ring some bells for some of you. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out the playlist. Go to whatever you are called to, whether it's the title, the images. There's something in there for you, okay? Timeless means that you find it when you're meant to. And also, I've often found that messages will occur to me later down the road, and I will find different meaning in them when I go back and watch or listen to them again, because I'll be at a different frequency. I'll be able to receive different messages. And you don't have to be a channel. You don't have to be a psychic medium to receive synchronicities and confirmations. You just have to be open. And also, again, make sure you're protecting yourself in how you receive this information. But you just be open to the magic unfolding in your life. Okay? So, this card is called number 40, Collective of the Southwest. Whale Medicine Mentor evokes the song in your soul that needs to be sung. Whale moves slowly. As you tend to your inner work and visionary dreaming, there may be a lull in responsiveness from the world around you. Do not fight your own process. Trust that your inner path will yield divine dividends with grace. Your song shall be heard, emanating high frequency manifestations. I mean, wow, chills. That is the Hanged One and the King of Wands combined in that. That is trusting also the Seven of Pentacles, trusting your path, trusting what you've invested in, hanging back and sitting and seeing things from another perspective. When you allow yourself to receive, be in your feminine energy, downloads will come to you, inspiration will come to you, and then you can be the visionary, you can be the leader, you can act on these things as the King of Wands, right? I couldn't have ended it on a better card. Thank you all for everyone's presence here today, whenever you're checking in. And until the next time, many blessings. This is Ellie, signing off.